Okay, so you're like, why are they rebooting Spider-Man when didn't the first one just come out like 10 years ago and it was a big successful franchise? There were three films. The last one wasn't even that long ago. I think it was 5 years ago. What the fuck? What is the point? This seems totally unnecessary to have to go back to the beginning again and retell the story that we just saw not that long ago, really. And you'd be right. There is absolutely no point in doing this, and it's totally unnecessary. But I guess the deal was Sony didn't want to pay Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire to do more of them because they were demanding too much. And they also have to, I guess, make movies enough so that they don't lose the license or whatever. Which is, I don't know how any of that stuff works, but that's how we get the Amazing Spider-Man. Didn't make a lot of sense to me why they're doing that until I found that out. Um, and and I was like, I didn't see a problem with the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans. I thought the third one was not as good as the first two, but I generally liked all of them. I know a lot of people thought that Spider-Man 3 sucked ass. I know there's a lot of people that they hate Tobey Maguire. They don't really like the movies. I was fine with them, really. I thought Tobey Maguire was very good as Peter Parker / Spider-Man. I thought he fit the role. Um, and then I was like, before knowing what the deal was with this, I was like, why would you do a reboot that feels so much the same as what we've already seen? Like, at least with the Batman, like the Christopher Nolan Batman flicks, they're way darker, they're more mature, they're real characters. Like, it feels like, they're going in a more realistic direction than the old Tim Burton and Joel Schumacher ones. There's a whole different approach to it. It's taking it as serious storytelling. But with the Amazing Spider-Man, it's kind of just rebooting it to do the same thing almost. This one's a little darker, more realistic, and there's differences and stuff, but a lot of it is retreading the same material, and I don't know. So basically, what you get in this is the beginning of Spider-Man, but this time played by Andrew Garfield, and instead of going straight to Mary Jane, it's him and Gwen Stacy. A lot of this, it's going to hit a lot of the same beats that the original one did. Uncle Ben and Aunt May, and Uncle Ben dies, and that's what drives him to become Spider-Man. Him getting bit by the spider, him discovering his powers, and experimenting with what he could do. Him making his costume. You're going to see all this shit again. The differences here. Well, for one, it's not the same villain. I think they're saving Harry Osborn for a sequel because he kind of shows up in the credits. Spoiler. It's the Lizard here. They kind of go into like what happened to his parents because he's being raised by his aunt and his uncle. That's definitely like a major point in the plot, and it kind of drives his character and makes him a more somber and troubled, character. Um, and it's weird because they never totally explain what happened to his parents, unless I missed something, but I didn't get up to take a piss or anything. So I was like, okay. And the thing about that is, I guess it's alright, but it's kind of like trying to be like Batman almost, when I don't need my Spider-Man to be like Batman. I kind of want Spider-Man to just be more fun and campy and, jokes and humor and just action, I don't need this whole dark edge to it. And I don't feel like it really improves anything. And then there are minor things like, in this one he makes the web shooting device, himself, instead of like in the Sam Raimi ones, it was part of his transformation from getting bit. Which to me, I know the comics. In the comics, he made the fucking pellets that shoot the web shit, and I just feel like that's stupid. It doesn't make sense. I like the Sam Raimi way more of it just being a natural part. I mean, he gets all these other abilities, but he has to like somehow ingeniously build like these web shooting devices. And he's like a teenager. I don't know. It's a minor sticking point, but I don't know. When you get down to it with this movie, it was totally unnecessary, and not all the changes they made are for the better. But and it's pretty damn slow. Like it takes a while to get going. Like it really drags kind of. It's over 2 hours. It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes. Didn't need to be that long. And it starts to drag, and they spend too much time on the origin stuff, especially since we've seen it all before. But once it gets going, it's fun, and all these complaints and the weirdness of it aside, it's a good Spider-Man, I think. And what's really good about it is Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy, and her dad, played by Dennis Leary. The cast in this really makes it work, in my opinion. Like I said, I had no problem with Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker / Spider-Man, but I think Andrew Garfield really, put some effort into this role, and I think is a better, Peter Parker than Tobey Maguire. And that's me saying it as someone that liked Tobey Maguire. He's a little bit less geeky than Tobey Maguire is. I don't know what the real Peter Parker is supposed to be like. I'm a fan of Spider-Man and Peter Parker, and I like all that stuff. I like the origin story of Spider-Man a lot, but I don't read the comics, so I don't know. I think in the comics he's just supposed to be like kind of just like a everyman, which I think Andrew Garfield does better. And there's just more to the characters in this than in the Sam Raimi ones. Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy, I fucking love her, man. Like I've been slowly building a crush on Emma Stone over the course of a couple movies, like Easy A, Crazy Stupid Love, and then here I was just man. I love this chick. And those fucking knee-high socks. Holy shit. And she's not even a typical redhead here. She's blonde. But, God, I fucking love her. And besides the fact that she's very attractive and whatnot, she's a good actress, and she gives a good performance here. She actually plays a part in the story. She's not just kind of like the love interest, or a damsel in distress. She actually helps a lot in this. And her dad, played by Dennis Leary. Dennis Leary is always good, and he's like a police chief in it, and he's out to get Spider-Man because Spider-Man is messing with what they're trying to do. But Dennis Leary, I mean, I like him. I don't know if I've said it on YouTube, but I kind of hated the way Rescue Me went. But the first 2 seasons were pretty good, and Dennis Leary was a major factor in making it awesome. And I like his, screen presence. He's just like this no bullshit, real kind of guy, And he's good in this for what he's in and of it. But they made it work. The director's Mark Webb, who did 500 Days of Summer. Kind of an odd choice, considering that it was like an indie, non-romantic comedy, but also a very good film. But it just seems like an odd choice. But the action scenes in it are well done, if not amazing. And he really gets the character part of it really well. Like The scenes between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone are great. They really work together. There's a real chemistry there, and I think Mark Webb is probably to credit for some of that. Um, and the actions, like I said, it's not the most memorable action, but it's good. A lot of it is pretty well done. Same goes for the villain. It's like the villain to me is no more or less memorable than any of the other Spider-Man movie villains, or even like the villain in Iron Man, which everyone praises Iron Man. I find the villains in these movies are generally kind of not memorable and kind of boring, which is weird because villains should be interesting. The one exception I could think of is the Joker in The Dark Knight. Who just absolutely dominated that film. But although in the Batman Begins, I liked Scarecrow as well, but usually they're kind of forgettable. They're just kind of like this thing that's in the way of the protagonist. They're there to give them someone to fight, like a big baddie to fight, And it's kind of the same here. I mean, there are parts of the Lizard that are kind of interesting, but overall it's just kind of like, okay, he goes crazy now, and then he's gonna start fucking shit up, and Spider-Man has to come stop him. It's hard for me to decide where I come down on this movie because it feels really unnecessary. It really does. A lot of it feels like a rehash, and some of the changes I don't like. And I kind of think that Spider-Man shouldn't be as dark and serious. I think it should be more fun, like the Sam Raimi ones, but at the same time, it's really, in my opinion, it's not a bad film. I know people that went to go see it that absolutely hated it, including big Spider-Man fans. But I know people that went to see it and they loved it. And I'm very weird on this one. I'm totally in the middle. It's like, it's not... I could report it's not the greatest fucking superhero movie ever. It's not even a great superhero movie. It's not. But it's also not a complete pile of shit. So I'm right there in the middle on it. It's like, well, it's not shitty, but it's not great. It's not necessary, but it's not bad. It's, an interesting take on this whole thing. You have better actors. I think, not to put down anyone in the original ones. I thought Tobey Maguire was great. But, you have a good cast here that really, really nails their roles. And you have, Martin Sheen as Uncle Ben, Sally Field as Aunt May, and they're good in it. It's so much that's the same, but there are improvements, there are changes you're not going to like. Is it necessary for you to run out to the theater and see this? No, probably not. But... if you like superhero flicks, and you like, to me, I like the origin story of Spider-Man. Like, I like it, so I could watch an altered version of it and be like, oh, that was okay. But it's not something you need to run out and see. It really isn't. I mean, it's not bad. It's not great. I don't know how the other way to put it. It's good. It's something to watch while you're waiting for fucking Dark Knight and Breaking Bad to come back, I mean, I can't hate on it. It has its strengths, it has its weaknesses. It never needed to be made, but this is it now. So if you like Spider-Man, you're going to have to see this and then see the follow-ups. See what happens. It could have been much worse. But... yeah, I don't know what else to really say about this one except it was all right. That's not like a huge endorsement, but there are things I really liked about it. But I'm just rambling on here. I know there's something I probably forgot to say, but we'll just cut it off here because I'm going on for fucking ever. But so I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5. I think that's a fair rating of it. And I think that's kind of in line with what you're going to see from most people. I think you hear a lot of the same stuff that you heard from me. Although people tend to be more love or hate on this, and it's going to be a divisive movie. But to me, I was just kind of like, it's not bad. So there you go.